Songs of Solomon 2 verse 15. This is a Bible verse that I used for my very first preaching, and that was several years ago. It was a Bible verse that when I heard it for the first time, when I read it in the Bible, it made so much sense. Because many times as believers, we are so focused on the huge things. Just as an example, I'll just name some things. When you do ministry, especially when you do ministry on YouTube, you will have people who attack you. You will have people who will come against you. And at times we focus too much on that we forget about the little things. See, Satan is very crafty. He loves to take your attention away from the important things. And there's a lot of people who are very good at balancing ministry and family. There are others who are not. And this is why this message is coming forth. Just helping you understand the importance of preparing our families for this unbelieving world. Preparing our children for the unbelieving world. One of the most important things that we can do as parents is be truthful to our children. Right now I'm here sitting down, but Natalie is right next to me, okay? She's sitting in the bed looking at me, okay? And one of the most beautiful things I try to do with my child, and please understand, I'm not trying to act like I'm the super nanny of YouTube. You know what I mean? I'm imperfect. We're all imperfect, but we all have areas that we're good at. And I think that as a parent, God has given me that opportunity to be able to work and improve on certain areas, and I want to share that with you today. Okay? Songs of Solomon 2:5. Catch for us the foxes, the little foxes that ruin the vineyards, our vineyards that are in bloom. God is so beautiful, and He talks to us in the most simplest ways. Many times we don't understand this as parents, right? But God is so awesome that while you see here on YouTube people who make like a 20-part video to deny Jesus Christ, you know, God was so simple that when He ministered to people, He talked to them on their level. And this is the most simplest way that God's Word can talk to you, parent, you minister, you person who's on YouTube, you person who is just a new Christian. This Bible verse applies to so much, because one of the reasons this Bible verse says what it says is because when you're focusing on the big fox, okay, there are a lot of little ones that are tearing down your vineyard. A lot of people, they focus on the big things, on the finances, on paying their tithes. A lot of church pastors, they focus on the 501c. They focus on the tax exemptions. They focus on how many people come in church. They focus on how to retain those people in church. But while they're focusing on the big things, okay, the little things are tearing down that congregation. The power of God is not moving. Faith is lacking. You're allowing people who really shouldn't even be there, be there. That's the example that I'm trying to talk to you today. And I know that I've strayed off topic a little bit. We're already 3 minutes into this, but I'm sure that it's for a purpose. But let's get on with our children. Why do I mention our children? Our children are extremely important. That's the biggest investment that you have in your life. Children are a gift of God. When God gives you a child, He gives you that child so that you can train that child, so that you can help mold that child, because that child is God's, it's not yours. So you have to do everything possible for that child. In Proverbs 22:6 it says, "Train up a child in the way he should go, even when he is old, he will not depart from it." And there's a very important truth to that. Because once that seed of the gospel is in a person, God begins to mold that person. And yes, teenagers go on stray away sometimes, but tell me if this is not your case. You've come back to God. God has brought you back. And as parents, we have to start educating our children from the early age. We have to do this. Because if we don't teach our kids their proper values, because if we don't live those values so that our kids can see us as examples, because when we don't tell them the truth, our kids are watching. Our kids know more than what you think, and our kids pick up on everything you do. One of the most important things that I've talked to my daughter about, and I've been learning as the years have passed, is Halloween. There's a lot of parents in this season that are Christians that allow their children to partake in Halloween festivals. And my friend, I'm not trying to act like I'm super nanny here, or if I'm the best dad in the world. I think I am, obviously, and my daughter thinks I am, but that's just us, right? We always think we're the best dad. But you have to understand one thing. 2 Corinthians 11:14 says it the best. And no marvel, for Satan himself is transformed into an angel of light. You see, many times we try to find excuses to justify something that God has clearly told us not to even take part of. And many times I hear parents around my neighborhood who tell me, well, we dress up our kids for plays, don't we? So what's the difference between that and Halloween? And a lot of parents don't understand the importance of stopping the justification of sins. Kids are watching what you're doing. If they see you justifying something, believe me, when they get older, they're gonna know that you were justifying something that was wrong. Okay, and when you tell children that it's okay to participate in Halloween, and you're a Christian, and you know this is against your beliefs as a Christian, you're hurting that child. How are you hurting that child? Well, let's go in deeper in this. In Halloween, just as an example, I see this on many churches. They have the pumpkin, they have the carved out pumpkin with a candle inside. A lot of parents don't know what that means in the witchcraft type of a situation. And a lot of Wiccans, and a lot of witchcraft people that are involved in this, they don't mean any harm by it. But to us that are people who know the truth, who know the reality in the spiritual world, we know how dangerous it is. Do you know that when you have your child carve out that pumpkin, or when churches have festivals for kids to carve out pumpkins and put candles inside of them, you know what that symbolizes in the spiritual world? That's essentially you calling spirits to your house. That pumpkin is made for you to attract familiar spirits, people who lived in that house before who died, family members of yours who've died. It's basically a connection between you and the spiritual world. Some parents didn't know this. And they say, but it's just a pumpkin. God made the pumpkin. We eat pumpkins. Why can't I carve out the pumpkin? Why don't you carve a pumpkin in February then? Or carve it in March? If you really want to carve pumpkins, do it then. But why do you do it now? Because you want to follow the traditions of men. And it's dangerous, because you're exposing your kid to demons. When you dress up your child on that day in Halloween, you're exposing that child to dark spirits. Even furthermore, and this is something that I've learned myself, Christmas is something that I used to do as a family, and a lot, but I've had to be truthful with my child. Okay? Because if we lie to our children, how can we not expect them to lie to us later on? And yes, we'll say to them later on, oh, I lied to you because I didn't want to hurt your feelings. Well, when they're 18, 19 years old and they're lying to you and they tell you, oh, Dad, I didn't want to tell you the truth because I don't want to hurt your feelings, what are you going to say then? This is not about taking things to an extreme. It's about understanding the reality that as a parent, you're responsible for that child. You're responsible for the way that child lives. You're responsible for the way that child acts. And God is going to hold you responsible to your child. Preparing our children for the unbelieving world. You see, I'm not talking about you holding a hammer in your house and being a dictator. My daughter, the way me and her interact, we talk about things in such a deep level And you have to lose that fear. A lot of parents have fear to confront their children. But me and Natalie, the way we talk, for example, I can say, Natalie, you know, in fact, let me see if she can come here real quick. Natalie, can you come here real quick? Be kids that are hearing this, okay? And there's gonna be parents that are hearing this. Why don't we celebrate Halloween?
Because it's bad.
Why is it bad?
Because there's bad spirits.
Bad spirits. And what do these bad spirits do to people?
Well, they kill you.
Well, essentially, they can kill you. But what? Do you understand why it's bad? Do you understand why we shouldn't do it?
Yeah.
And when I come to you and I talk to you, don't we always have like a good conversation? And I'm not always like, we can talk about this, right?
Yeah.
And why don't you think that parents tell their kids about the truth about Halloween?
Let me think. Let me see. I don't know all about that. Not that, I just don't know that one.
You don't know that one?
It's too hard for me.
But I'm glad, Nati. At least you told them something. Tell them something else. Tell them something about Jesus.
Jesus is not bad, and that's not bad. Praying for Jesus is nice to pray to Jesus, but then Halloween is bad, and you can't dress up like Halloween. You can't do that because it's bad, and there could be bad spirits.
Well, thank you, Natalie. I love you so much.
Okay.
Go eat your duckies. Yeah, I'm sorry for interrupting your meal. Sorry, guys. That's Natalie. She was eating the Hershey's donkey, so she was sucking on her fingers, her thumbs while she was talking to you guys. But don't be afraid to talk to your children. Don't be afraid. Kids understand. Okay? Kids understand. And I know it's not the popular thing. Okay? Because I have a lot of people in my family who tells me, but you have to let them be social. They can be social when they grow up older with the world. My job is to educate her on the best level that I can, and I'm gonna do everything I can to protect her and prepare her for this unbelieving world. Because when you don't prepare your children for the unbelieving world, and they go to schools that they're being exposed to so much wickedness, okay, kids in kindergarten being taught sexual education, how to use a condom, kids being taught things that are just so this is why I homeschool my daughter, because of it. Here in Florida, in kindergarten and first grade, they teach kids, instead of like, you know, like the father story of Adam and Eve in kindergarten, is Adam and Steve, and how it's okay for them to be man and man together, and the whole family, the whole thing, you know. And when as parents, when we just work all week, for example, we work 40 hours a week, right? We just send our kids to school, we go with the whole routine. When we don't ask teachers what they're teaching our children, this is bound to happen. So I've looked up into the school system by my area, and I'm not sending her to that school. I'm homeschooling her. It's not easy, but we got to do what we got to do for our kids, my friends. This is not a lecture from me to you. This is just me telling you to be careful. Be careful. Okay? Be careful. Satan is a liar. He is a liar. And he does anything possible to destroy you and your family. I'll end with this once again. Catch for us the foxes, the little foxes that ruin the vineyards. Our vineyards that are in bloom. And I want you to consider today how many little foxes you have in your life. How many little foxes you have in your life that you're ignoring. That you have in your household that you're ignoring. And that you're justifying it. Oh, we're saved by grace. Hallelujah, I'm saved by grace. But my friend, when God convicts you, stop justifying it. Stop justifying. That's all I'm saying. May God bless you very, very much.